This might be one of the most famous dishes of all time, and yet it's so hard. Except this one's not. I have a lot of recipes for Wellingtons, and this is the easiest I've ever made. When I say this isn't hard, I'm not saying that it doesn't require any technique and you could just slap it together and throw it in the oven. But what we have done with this recipe is I've stripped all the elements of it, mainly the chilling and all the wait time, and I found that it's still just as good, if not better. So if you got an event coming up or you wanna make a special dinner for two, whoever that special somebody is, this is that dish. So let's make it, shall we? This recipe isn't tremendously different from other Wellington recipes. We've just eliminated a lot of the time-consuming parts. So we'll do our standard season and sear. We have a quicker duxelle. Everything's wrapped beautifully. No need for chill time. Pop it into the oven, and then while that's going, make a quick little vegetable and sauce, and then we'll plate it up and enjoy. How does the easiest Wellington start? It always starts with a beef tenderloin. This is a small guy. This is a 16 ounce or 1 pound, enough for 2 people. Here she is. She looks lovely. She looks beautiful. When you go to your butcher, make sure that it's a center cut if you can get it. Steal that center cut. Take it away from someone else. Don't let them have it. Inspect it. Make sure it doesn't need to be trimmed. You know what? Actually, don't trim it. I don't care. It doesn't have to be perfect. Kosher salt generously on all sides. I'm gonna tell you something right now. It is almost impossible to over-season this. Even if I dumped this whole container of salt on this, most of it would fall off. Now, fresh cracked black pepper, all sides. Give it a roll around in all the salt. Get the edges, the cut sides. This bad boy is ready to be seared. The one thing I'll ask, and you can skip this part, if you have the time, let this sit at room temperature for about 20 minutes just so it comes up to room temp a little. It'll sear better that way, but it won't ruin it if you don't do that. So to sear this, we have a large skillet, a little bit of vegetable oil to coat the bottom of the pan, 1.5, 2 tablespoons, something high heat, neutral tasting. Heat that over medium high. While you're waiting for that to heat up, your steak must be patted dry. I know we just seasoned it. Pat it dry again. Right before it goes in the pan, just give it a little pat down. Make sure it's dry as humanly possible. You want moisture separating you from a beautiful crust, right? Okay, now once your pan is hot, you're then gonna add in your beef. You're gonna sear this bad boy. I kinda like to put them towards the edge of the pan just to help like really get a quick sear on it. You can move it around. And to sear that for about 1 to 2 minutes. Let it sit just until it gets a little bit of a crust. There you go. Flip it over. And again, another 1 to 2 minutes. Once you got a little bit of a crust, don't worry about it too much, flip again. This time we're gonna go 30 seconds. Flip, again. You don't need to get a perfect contact sear on all sides. I'd rather you have a nice medium rare steak than a big gray ring. Roll it around the pan. Try to keep it circular if you can, or close to circular. Now we're gonna kiss the cut sides. Now the other side. Now cut off the heat. Steak is done. Set that to the side. This pan, don't even clean this. You can save this, we're gonna make a sauce with this. Because this was not in the pan that long, it's really not that hot except for the exterior. So we're gonna cool the exterior really quickly by brushing with some Dijon mustard on all sides. Get a little messy with it, don't be shy. Dijon mustard, whole thing. Perfect. Okay, now we're gonna let that bad boy cool while we make our duxelle. Just throw it in the fridge. It'll be cool by the time we're ready to use it. I like to do this the old-fashioned way. I normally chop it up with a knife. I feel that it makes a better product, but we're all about speed here. So you need a food processor, a blender. I mean, hell, you could probably even use a pie cutter in a bowl and just. But anyway, we have 1 pound of cremini mushrooms, nothing expensive, nothing fancy. And then we also have 2 small shallots that have been peeled and 3 cloves of garlic. We're not gonna waste our time using a knife here. Just throw everything into a food processor and let it rip. Pulse it a few times. If it gets stuck, shake it. That's it, done. You might have some chunks of shallot in here. I mean, like if you wanna make it finer, then make it finer, but it's fine. We're keeping it chill here. Now, onto the stove. Now on medium heat, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of really any oil, neutral oil, olive oil. It could even be butter. Set that over medium heat, then once it's hot, you're gonna scoop in your duxelle. A little toss to coat with the oil. Season with a touch of kosher salt to taste. Little crack of fresh black pepper. And then you're just gonna cook that down on medium heat. It'll start to release a bunch of moisture. Just keep cooking and stirring, that moisture will evaporate. And then once it's thickened and a nice sort of paste texture, like 3 to 5 minutes, your duxelle is done. Once that's done, optionally you can add a little pinch of freshly chopped thyme leaves. Totally optional, it's more of a flavor thing, but it tastes good without it. Stir that in. Once it's combined, cut off the heat, and then you're just gonna let that cool down. To get it to cool quickly, I would recommend spreading it on a quarter sheet or a big plate and get it as thin as possible, like really, really, really thin. You pop this bad boy in the fridge, this will be cold in probably like 5 minutes. And even if it's not cold, it'll be cold enough. Now for the wrapping process. You're gonna need an extra large, extra wide sheet of plastic wrap or 2 normal sheets stitched together. And then you're gonna need probably just 1 package of pre-sliced prosciutto di Parma, nothing too crazy. I would not recommend going to the deli counter and asking them to slice it for you fresh, because for some reason, every time they do it, they do not stay together. But when they're pre-sliced, they stay together. You're gonna lay that down in the lower third of your plastic wrap. 1 slice, followed by your next slice. And you're just gonna kind of shingle these, just slightly overlapping each one. And you'll notice I'm actually pressing this and then peeling the papers that have this separated in the packaging, and that way you end up with perfect full contact. I don't want any air escaping this, because the point of this is to create a barrier to prevent the juices from making your puff pastry turn to shite. Boom. Now we have a perfect rectangle of meat to encase our meat. So now we're gonna add our cooled duxelle directly on top. Try to keep it evenly spread. It doesn't need to be perfect. Leave a little 1/2-inch border, and you're gonna spread that 2/3 of the way up. There we go. All right, we're ready for our beef. Set that sort of in the lower third centered. I'm gonna carefully roll that up using the plastic wrap to help you get it done. Roll, beautiful, nice and tight. Now bring it towards you, fold it over itself. All right, now gently we're going to crimp the edges shut. You're just gonna lightly twist, and you have a little parcel. Now, this is the trick for this video. Typically, you would let this cool for 1 hour, 2 hours, so it's super firm. We're not even gonna do that. We're just gonna bake it. For our puff pastry, we have to have something to brush on. I prefer to go all egg yolk. I got 2 eggs. You just crack 2 into a little bowl. Use your hands to separate it. Don't try to do the fancy shell hack, all right? I break my yolks half the time. Do it with your hands, just wash your hands real quick. Okay, yolks, tablespoon or 2 of water. Break your yolks, and you have your egg wash. All you need is 1 box of puff pastry. You don't have to make it yourself. I'm a stickler for making it myself, I'll be honest. We all know this, but if I'm being real, like, most people won't be able to tell the difference, and it's obviously a lot less work. This is supposed to be the easiest Wellington, not the very best, but I'm curious how good it ends up being. This is Do 4. I think it's the best brand if you're gonna go store-bought, in my opinion. So you're gonna hit it with a little bit of all-purpose flour, open it up, stretch its legs, take it for a walk, invite it to the family dinner, and then eat it. Okay, main reason we flour this is because we're gonna roll it out. So you just need to thin this out a little bit and also get it a bit wider. You could hypothetically use it as it was, but it's gonna be a very thick crust. So you're gonna roll this out till it's a little under 1/4 inch thick, and you get a 16 by 16 square. Now, I want you to visualize here, okay? You don't really need this whole thing. As long as you have about 2.5 inches of overhang, you're fine. I'm just eyeballing this, okay? Now, let me just say something. If you wanna go crazy style and make a lattice, you have leftover to make a lattice from 1 box. You don't need 2 boxes. You can make lattice with this, or you could skip that. That would make it a little harder and would take a lot more time. Now at this stage, we are going to roll it. Remove the edges. Now we're gonna carefully unwrap this slowly. See, no chilling, completely unnecessary. And you have a nice little roast. Set that down into the lower third. Now, egg wash. I'm gonna brush a generous border on all quadrants of the pastry, just like that. Now we're gonna get the top one in a second. First, I wanna roll it up and seal it. Pastry's gonna go over. I'm gonna slowly roll this up and over, and see where that seam is? Just before we meet that side, I'm gonna leave a little strip here. So this is probably where I'm gonna cut a little ahead of that, like that. All right, move that. Take our egg wash, brush again, and then seal it. Make sure there's no holes. Okay, boom. Crimp the sides, and you're gonna trim them. Now, this stage, take another sheet of plastic wrap. If you want it perfectly round, you can always give it a little roll, and it'll hold the shape. You can leave this in the fridge while you preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit convection or 425 regular. Okay, so the final step. We're gonna remove our plastic wrap. Handle it delicately, okay? It's not chilled, so it's not as sturdy. Bang, dude, right in the center, dude. At this stage, before you bake it, the first thing you're gonna do is brush it with your egg wash. You're gonna brush the whole entire thing, edge to edge. And then if you chose to lattice, which you're a psycho if you did, you're then going to layer your lattice directly on top, make it look absolutely stunning. By the way, lattice does nothing for you. It just looks nice. Tuck your lattice underneath, make it look like it belongs there. Okay, then you're gonna brush it once more. Egg wash just to get the lattice taken care of. Last but not least, optionally, hit it with a little bit of flaky salt on top for a salty crunch, dude. Now, ideally, you'll wanna probe this. So take a probe. I like to insert it a little bit at the bottom up. That way I'm not like ruining the pastry. Pop that bad boy in. If you wanna probe it, that way you can monitor the internal temperature, but you're gonna bake this in your preheated oven for 20 to 30 minutes, or until the internal temperature is around 125, 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and the exterior is golden brown. Now, while that's baking, this is completely optional, but if you wanna make a sauce, I would recommend an au poivre because it's very quick and it's very delicious. We have our leftover pan, 2.5 tablespoons unsalted butter, medium heat, and you're just gonna melt that down. 1 medium shallot diced, 2 cloves of thinly sliced garlic, and a tablespoon of very coarsely ground, not even ground, like lightly crushed black peppercorn. And you're just gonna saute that, stirring often for about 2 to 3 minutes. Now look, the sauce is completely optional. You don't need a sauce at all if you don't want one. Okay, so once that's softened, you're gonna add half a cup of beef stock, increase the heat to high. Boil that down for about 2 minutes. Next, half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Again, bring that to a boil and reduce until thickened. Another 2 to 3 minutes. So once that's thickened, you're gonna add 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, a little touch of freshly grated lemon zest, then cut off the heat, swirl that around, and then just finish that off with a tablespoon of unsalted butter. You're just gonna stir that around until it's melted and emulsified into the sauce. Season to taste with salt, and it's ready. Now, if you want a vegetable, I would recommend a broccolini, which I also have an easy way to do. If you're gonna make any sort of a vegetable, you wanna waste time on mashed potatoes, or you do have them or whatever, I don't care. This is the one vegetable I think is worth making because you got 20, 25 minutes, maybe even longer, depending on your oven. This you can cook in 5 minutes, give or take a minute or two. Okay, hot pan, 12-inch skillet, vegetable oil, high heat oil, avocado oil, I don't care, oil. Make the oil go in there. Not butter, not something that will burn. Does it make sense? We're searing the broccolini. So, medium high heat, enough oil to coat the bottom. Once that's hot, very, very hot, nearly smoking, okay, you'll know if you see that, that's hot. You're gonna lay in your broccolini, toss to coat with the oil, and you're just gonna let that sear for like 1 to 2 minutes undisturbed. Let it get some browning, some Maillard, get a little char. All right, give it a little swirl, give it a little toss again. Get the idea, look at that. Look, you're already getting some beautiful char. Frankly, you don't even have to toss it. You could just like flip them over. It depends on how many are in the pan. And just char the other side. Let it go for another 2 to 3 minutes. This time reduce the heat to medium because the pan's gonna start to get a little too hot. Let that go for another 2 or 3 minutes. Once that's done, your vegetables should be sort of like 20% cooked. I want it mostly crunchy. I wanna have that nice, rich broccolini flavor. I don't want it mush. At this point, you season it to taste with salt, give it a little toss to coat, and then finish with fresh squeezed lemon juice. That's done. That is a beautiful broccolini ready to go with our Wellington. You can do this with as much broccolini as you want, by the way. It's pretty clear this is a small, maybe 2-person portion. All right, remove it from the oven. And then in this moment, you wanna be very cautious. Get under that bad boy and transfer it to a wire rack. Now, you're gonna need to let this rest for at least 5 minutes before you cut into it. With the smaller size Wellington, there will be more carryover cooking than normal. So I'd recommend pulling this at 115 Fahrenheit or 46 Celsius internal temperature to get a beautiful medium rare while it's resting. Before you plate this, obviously you can do any vegetable you want. If you want to throw mashed potatoes on, you would put that on first and then your broccolini, or just straight broccolini. If you made a sauce, you could put your sauce au poivre, and then finally, a beautiful slice of your Wellington. You can stand it up, you can lay it down, it doesn't matter. Woo! Beef Welly, yeah, Skelly. Look, there's really only a few ways to make beef Wellington, and to me this video was about showing one thing, and that is that you don't have to make beef Wellington exactly to the T. It can still come out absolutely delicious. You saw how good it looks. Is it perfect? I don't know that I would say it's perfect, but is it delicious? It honestly tastes just as good as any other Wellington I've made. Probably because it's all the same ingredients, it's just less critical technique. We're only focused and honing in on the things that really matter in a great Wellington, and that shines through. Beef is delicious, it's seasoned, it's beefy, it's not dry, it's cooked beautifully. I mean, beautifully. Look at this. That's nice. Little gray band, I'm not complaining about it, but it's seasoned nicely. The duxelle is delicious. You didn't lose anything by cooking it the way that I cooked it. I feel like this is gonna inspire people to go and do my recipes and modify them and be like, why didn't it work? But this one works. This is the easiest Wellington you're gonna make that is going to taste identical to one that takes almost twice as long with all the wait time in the fridge. Just eliminate it. Make your life a little easier and enjoy the salty, fatty deliciousness that is a Wellington. Love you, subscribe, bye.